The men's ice hockey team is Tampa-bound. Rand Pecknold's squad is making its second Frozen Four appearance in program history.
And the men's lacrosse team began conference play. We'll let you know if it started out the season on the right foot.
Baseball faced off against out-of-conference opponents Dartmouth and Seton Hall. Would it break its 6-game losing streak?
And find out which student athlete is being honored as this week's Bobcat of the Week. Sit back and relax. Sports Paws starts right now.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Sports Paws. I'm Sierra Goodwill.
And I'm John Franklin. Sierra, the cold weather seems to be creeping back, which is appropriate because one winter team doesn't want its season to end.
That's right, John. Men's hockey played in the NCAA East Regionals in Albany, New York. It took on RIT in the first round and dominated the Tigers 4-0. Goals came from Travis St. Dennis, Scott Davidson, and 2 from Soren Janssen, including an empty netter to close out the game. Sam Annis also returned from an injury he suffered in the conference finals to tally an assist. The next day, the Bobcats faced off against UMass Lowell. Quinnipiac got to book its flight to Florida after a 4-1 win, courtesy of Landon Smith, Sam Annis, Scott Davidson, and Travis St. Dennis. Here to talk about the wins and the path to the Frozen Four a little more in depth, we are bringing on men's ice hockey beat reporter Kyle Levasseur. Kyle, thanks for coming on.
Hey guys, always great to be here and talk some hockey with you guys.
Kyle, thanks again. So Quinnipiac has a trend of starting off games slow. Do you see this as being a problem for the Bobcats in the Frozen Four?
You know, guys, I don't, and here's why. The resiliency of this team is just off the charts, and we've seen it throughout the season with late game comebacks against Dartmouth, an overtime winner against Harvard, but it's really been evident after the Game 2 loss against Cornell back in the ECAC playoffs. They came back against Harvard down 1-0 in the championship game in a very impressive win. They also scored 4 goals after a very slow start against RIT in the first round of the national tournament. And then they played, in my opinion, the best 2 periods of hockey I've seen all season long from them after they allowed that first goal against UMass Lowell. So the resiliency of this team after they get to a slow start, it's so impressive. And throughout the year, they've just been compared to the 2012-13 team that went to the championship game. And Rand Pecknold said earlier today at Media Day that throughout the season, he hasn't thought of this team as good as that initial team, but as of late and seeing that resiliency, he agrees that they are just as good, if not better than that team.
So Kyle, you talked about the resiliency, but how important do you think Gartig is to Quinnipiac's championship hopes?
Well, Michael Gartig is the key to winning if they are going to win the championship game. I mean, he just had a great East Regional tournament, winning the Most Outstanding Player Award, having a shutout against RIT, his first one in months. And he only allowed 1 goal to UMass Lowell, one of the best teams in the country, who many thought was going to make the Frozen Four. And while he might not be the flashiest goalie and have the greatest stats, the guy knows how to win. He has the most wins in program history over his career. He has the most wins in a season for a Quinnipiac goalie with 31. And honestly, the offense is going to score. They scored against, no matter who the goalie is. They scored 7 goals in 2 games against Alex Lyon of Yale. They scored 4 goals against Kevin Boyle in their last game. So the offense will score. It's going to come down to Michael Gartig's play come the Frozen Four.
So another guy making a big impact, Kyle, is Sam Annis. What kind of impact did he have in the regionals from what you saw?
Oh, well, he was also an all-tournament player, and there was a lot of question about whether he would actually play. He was a game-time decision against both RIT and UMass Lowell, and while he did play well, it was really his presence that was the biggest thing. Landon Smith, after the game, said, seeing Annis out there on the ice, it really brings everyone else's level up. It makes them play harder to see Annis, who is battling injuries, give it his best, and actually being able to perform. He did finish the series with 1 goal and 1 assist, and the most important thing that I saw is that he was comfortable out there, scored a beautiful backhanded goal. He looks like the Annis we've seen all season long.
So we touched on goaltending, offense. Now, how valuable do you think Connor Clifton has been so far in the playoffs?
Well, Annis and Gartig have both been great, but Connor Clifton has to be the hottest player on Quinnipiac at this point. He won the Most Outstanding Player Award in the ECAC tournament, and he's just developed into such a well-rounded defenseman. He has been a very physical, put the body on the forward type of defenseman, but he's really become good with skill plays. He had a backhanded no-look assist to Soren Janssen. It was just beautiful, and he's just developed his game so much.
Great insight, Kyle. Thanks for all your work this season and for coming out tonight, my friend. The men's ice hockey team addressed the media today in this media day. Victoria Retigliano got a chance to talk to goalie Michael Gartig about his second time in the Frozen Four.
Hello everyone, I'm Victoria Retigliano, Quinnipiac men's ice hockey beat reporter, joined alongside by Michael Gartig, the starting goalie for the team. Michael, it's raining, it's gross outside. How excited are you to be going to Tampa for the Frozen Four?
Yeah, I'm just shoveling snow off my car today. Well, probably wasn't the best thing, but obviously we're excited to go to Tampa Bay. Like Sam said, not to go to get a tan, but we're there to win games. And, you know, it's kind of cool that the venue's in Tampa Bay. You know, it's somewhere I've never been before, but we're all excited for the opportunity. We're excited to play Boston College on Thursday, and it's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. Boston College is a pretty big-name team. They've been to the Frozen Four 25 times. The last time they won was actually in Tampa. This is your team's second time going. How do you think that affects both your teams going into this game?
Well, I mean, I think we're obviously a lot younger of a program than they are. You know, I think we were Division I in 1998. But, I mean, Jerry York has been their coach for a long time, obviously a very well-respected coach. And Rand's been here for a long time as well, and I think he's done a good job at preparing us. And I don't think it matters how many times either team has been. And it's all about just relishing the moment and enjoying the process. And, you know, all we can do is focus on the game against Boston College and bring in our best game to get a win and move forward.
In 2012-2013 season, you sat behind Eric Hartzell. What is it like now for you to come full circle and be a starting goaltender in net?
I mean, yeah, obviously it was a very valuable experience, and it was something that I definitely take as a positive thing. Obviously, I was still a part of the team, and it was a great team experience, and, you know, I was, you know, the biggest fan that year, obviously wanting to win. And obviously, yeah, full circle. Now I'm playing, and, you know, it's obviously a lot more fun, but I kind of told Rand that I would try to get him back here in my 4 years, and I'm glad that we're here, but not satisfied yet, and obviously want to win.
And what advice are you giving to all the other players on the team? Because only 6 of you have been to the Frozen Four, so what are you guys telling them now that you're going onto the big stage?
It's just an opportunity. Like, you can't waste an opportunity. You know, like, we kind of said that when we were in Lake Placid, and, you know, we've been there the last 3 years, but it was one of those things where we wanted to win it. It's not easy getting there. It's not easy getting to the NCAA tournament. So every opportunity that we've had, we've grabbed it and we went with it. And it's just important to relish the moment, make sure that we're, you know, enjoying the experience, enjoying each other, but obviously make sure we're focused on the task at hand and the distractions at the Frozen Four. You know, you're walking up on a red carpet, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You know, we're there to play hockey, and we're there to get wins, and that's all that matters. So.
You've taken on Alex Lyon, you've taken on some other really big names, now you're taking on Thatcher Demko. How tired are you of being compared to all these other goaltenders?
I mean, that's kind of part of the sport. I mean, I've taken a different path than many of these goalies, and obviously Thatcher Demko probably took the most ideal path to where he is with, you know, he's a second-round draft pick, he's a USA national program kid, and, you know, he's a great goalie. You know, I've met him personally. I played with him at the Vancouver Canucks camp, and he's a good goalie, and, you know, we're going to have to do what we do to all the other goalies, Alex Lyon, Kevin Boyle. You know, we got to make life difficult for them and make them feel uncomfortable so we can do the right things to score some goals on them, and, you know, it is what it is.
All right, well, the team will be playing at Amalie Arena at 5 o'clock on Thursday against BC in the Frozen Four. Check it out then.
This week, Kirby Paulson headed to the touchscreen to give us the players that he thinks will have the biggest impact in Tampa.
Thanks, guys. Well, it's April, it's snowing, it's hailing out, it's very cold, but the players are heating up and so are the teams, so let's jump right into my top 5 players of the tournament so far. In the number 5 spot, we're going to go with Quinnipiac forward Sam Ayers. Sam picked up 2 points in the East Regional weekend in Albany. One of those happened to be an absolutely beautiful toe drag goal. We weren't really sure what we were going to get out of Sam, as he wasn't 100%, as he was battling what we think is a shoulder injury. But he's really stood up to adversity very well, especially with the injury. He's playing well, he's skating well. So the Bobcats are going to look for him for success, especially on the power play, as he is not only one of the top power play goal getters, but also he's very key to the assist when it comes to Travis St. Dennis's play on the power play. In the number 4 spot, we're going to go with freshman forward Colin White out of Boston College. Now, Colin only had 1 point during that weekend, but he was a +2 on against Harvard in the regional opener. He's a kid that likes to put a lot of shots on net. He had 8 shots up against Harvard. That's something important, especially when you get a freshman on the scoring board. He played really well in that regional weekend. So for Colin White to come in here as a freshman and get points on the board, he needs to continue to get those shots, especially against the Quinnipiac defense that's been strong, has been able to limit those shots. He's going to have to get creative, but look for him to have a big weekend up against the Bobcats. In the number 3 spot, we're going to go with Quinnipiac defenseman Connor Clifton. Now, Clifton has been absolutely stellar as of late. He had a beautiful end-to-end play with Soren Janssen. He went up the right side, straight up the right side for an assist over to Janssen, who was over there to finish it off for the goal. Clifton is showing his offensive side. We all know him for that hard-hitting mentality and his physical, aggressive play. But at the same time, he's really starting to show both sides. He was also extremely disciplined over the weekend, which is something that he hasn't always succeeded at. So if he can stay disciplined, he's definitely someone the Bobcats are going to look for, especially to nail down that defensive core up against Boston College. In the 2 spot, we're going to go with forward Dylan Gambrell, the freshman out of Denver. It was tough for me not to take Danton Heinen, as Heinen had a huge statistical weekend. But a kid like Dylan Gambrell really does everything right. He's a hard skater. He's a nitty-gritty player. He likes to get to the dirty areas, and he wants to make those plays happen. I think a lot of times he's shadowed under the big forward like Danton Heinen, the Boston Bruins prospect. So for a guy like Gambrell to have the weekend that he did with a goal in both games, actually, and 2 assists against Ferris State in the regional final, he's going to be someone that Denver is going to look for with success against the North Dakota defense. And in the number 1 spot, finally, is North Dakota defenseman Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson had a really, really sharp weekend up against one of the hottest teams in the nation in Northeastern and one of the best first lines in all of college hockey in Michigan. He was able to stand tall in front of them, even with a good defense in front of him. Sometimes we see goalies make a couple of mistakes even with that, but he was able to stand tall. He only gave up 4 goals on the entire weekend. Look for him to find success against the Denver offense to put up 13 goals in their regional matchups.
When we come back, you'll find out if the men's lacrosse team has remained perfect in conference play.
And will the baseball team get back on track after its 6-game losing streak? Don't go anywhere. Sports Paws will be back in no time.
The freshmen this year have stepped in and really just eliminated that problem, doing the right plays at the right time.
I mean, it certainly seems like an uphill battle for this team, but Tricia Fabi is one of the best coaches at this university.
Bobcats hosting Arizona State. We'll start with this power play.
But she's strong. Good Lord, I saw her lifting one time. She could squat 3 of me. Like,
Oh, well, 7 of me then.
This week's trending topic is #that. We are your source for Quinnipiac entertainment news.
Welcome back to Studio 125. The men's lacrosse team traveled to Poughkeepsie, New York to take on Marist this week. Let's take the highlight, roll it. The men's lacrosse team at Tenney Stadium there in Marist. Let's see how they fared. Let's roll it. First quarter, senior captain Ryan Keenan comes around the edge, and he's just gonna rip one in the back of the net. 1-0 Quinnipiac, but the story of this game was late. Let's head to the fourth quarter, where Anthony Carchetta is gonna be behind the goal, and he's gonna stop and go. Spin move, he comes around, and he's gonna find Drew D'Antonio, scoop, score. Let's take another look at that one, ladies and gentlemen. There are some sweet assists, but this was a delicious dime down low for number 7. Now let's take it back. 12 seconds left in the game. Number 15, Ryan Keenan, has the ball stripped. Nate Niblin gonna pick it up, finds Keenan down low. 5, 4, 3, let's head to overtime. Keenan sends it to the extra period. We got one more extra one, some free lacrosse. Head to overtime. We take a look at the handshake. Refs explaining the rules, but here it comes, what we all wanted to see. 2-1, goal. Let's go home, Anthony Carchetta. The boys get back on the bus. Quinnipiac wins this one, 8-7. They go to 2-0 in conference play and have 4 games left on the season.
Sports Paws' own Kyle Levasseur got the chance to sit down with him earlier this week to discuss his role as captain.
Hi, I'm Kyle Levasseur here alongside men's lacrosse senior captain Ryan Keenan. Ryan, thanks for being here today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So Ryan, you're from Canada and played for Hill Academy, one of the best programs in the country. Why did you choose to come to Quinnipiac here in Connecticut?
It was kind of late in the recruiting process actually for me. I was kind of debating whether taking a PG year and staying another year in high school because I hadn't really found the offer yet that really worked best for me. But kind of midsummer, Coach Frady at the time, who's not with us anymore, but he saw me play in a tournament, and next thing I knew, they hustled me down here to Connecticut, and I loved the campus, and it just seemed like the right fit. I talked to Dylan Webster at the time, who was a sophomore at the time from Brampton, Ontario, around me, and he loved it, and I just went with it and hoped for the best, and it just ended up working perfectly.
So what's it like being one of the only international players on the team?
It's a bit different. I mean, but compared to other schools, I think there's more of an international base, like with the 5 Canadians we have now. So it's it's a small group, but we're all kind of embraced by the other guys, and just one big community. It doesn't really matter at this point whether who's American or Canadian. We're all just kind of one big family here.
Right. So being one of 5 captains on the team, how do you distribute the responsibilities that maybe one captain would have compared to the 5 that you guys have on your team?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit different when I'm used to back up at home, growing up playing hockey and lacrosse. Usually there's just one captain and assistants, but so it's a process. Like, we have to work together a lot and talk outside of lacrosse about working together for what's best for the guys. And some days 1 or 2 guys step up more than the others, and just about supporting each other and supporting the rest of the team, kind of being a voice for them, but about balancing who's stepping up certain days and who's not.
So it's your senior year, your freshman year you had 3 points, played in 10 games, and we really saw a jump into your sophomore year where you had 39 points. What would you say specifically helped you develop into the player you are going into your sophomore year?
I think just being a young freshman, I still wasn't really ready for the college field game. Growing up playing indoor lacrosse my whole life, and I just needed more experience, and it's really just about getting on that field, breaking over the barrier of getting in the game and coming out of my shell, because I feel like I was still kind of nervous going into games my freshman year, but it was just the experience factor and the coaches and the players around me believing in me, and it was a lot more confident going into my sophomore year, I think.
Thank you, Ryan. For more inside information, visit our website at q30television.com. You can also follow us on social media at Q30Sports. For Ryan Keenan, I'm Kyle Levasseur. We'll see you next time.
The baseball team traveled to Dartmouth in hopes of snapping its 6-game losing skid. The Bobcats would do so, beating the Big Green 5-4. Gregory Egan got the win for the Bobcats, marking his 2nd of the season.
Baseball then had a 3-game series down in South Orange, New Jersey against Seton Hall. The Bobcats lost the first game 14-2, but closed the gap a little the next day, losing 5-1 and again 4-1. Quinnipiac next faces off against the University of Rhode Island and Central Connecticut State University before resuming MAC play against Siena.
The women's tennis team battled Bryant on the road this week. The Bobcats would take the match 6-1. 5 different players won 2 individual matches for the Bobcats, including Sydney Young, whose 2 wins marked 89 total for her career.
The softball team had a short road trip to battle in-state opponent University of Hartford. It split the doubleheader, winning the first game 3-0 and losing the next 3-1. In the win, sophomore Casey Herzog got the start in the circle and allowed just 2 hits over 7 innings, a season low. The Bobcats play Holy Cross this Thursday before kicking off conference play. And when we come back, we will tell you if the women's lacrosse team has rallied from its early season slump.
And hold on to your hats, boys and girls. It's almost time for the top 5 plays of the week. Keep it locked. This is Sports Paws.
Good evening and welcome to Sports Paws.
In the end, we're here to win a championship this year.
Jess Fontaine now has that. She's going to take a ripper off the post, but she's going to come back.
And my number one, hold your applause, Bobcats fans, is Quinnipiac.
All right, Victoria, you know what time it is. It's top 5 plays of the week.
My favorite time.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken and cheese for just over $4. Giant cheesesteak subs and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q-Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
Welcome back to Sports Paws. John, the Akron tumbling team had its last match before the NCATA National Championships. Tell us about it.
Well, Sierra, the acrobatics and tumbling team took on Concordia this week on Senior Day. 8 seniors were honored in the opening ceremony. The Bobcats started hot, scoring high in the pyramid category, and even scored a perfect 10 in the toss. Quinnipiac would go on to win the meet by 11 points. Up next, the Bobcats, like you said, travel to Baylor University for the NCATA Championships. Moving on, the women's rugby team took to the pitch for the first time since being crowned national champions. This past fall, where the Bobcats picked up right where they left off, as the team went a perfect 3-0 in pool play and 5-0 overall. The team went on to best Harvard in the semifinal. The Bobcats trounced the Crimson by a score of 21-5. In the Cup final, Quinnipiac would take on AIC. Quinnipiac went on to win the game on the back of Emily Roscoff, 17-14. The Bobcats outscored their opponents 110-31. Up next, the team travels to Brown for its Rugby Sevens tournament on Saturday.
The national champion rugby team had 6 of its members named to the All-American team. Mason Johnson, Maggie Miles, Alona Marr, Flora Poole, Emily Roscoff, and Haley Wyatt all received the honor. Quinnipiac has the most student athletes represented on the All-American team in the country.
The women's lacrosse team had a home game against Central Connecticut State University this past Wednesday. Quinnipiac went on to lose 9-8 in heartbreaking triple overtime fashion.
And on Saturday, Canisius traveled down to Hamden. Quinnipiac looking back on track from its slow start this season. In the first half, Canisius opened it up with a 3-1 lead, but here you'll see Kara O'Malley scores on an unassisted goal, closing the gap. Quinnipiac down 3-2. Into the second half now, Allison Kuhn would be able to get it over to Kathleen DeVito. Canisius did expand the lead a little bit here after this one, though, 7-4. And then Kathleen DeVito again scores her second goal of the game unassisted. It just wasn't enough for Quinnipiac. However, Quinnipiac would go on to lose this one, 12-7, bringing its overall record to 2-8.
And now time to hand out the award that every student athlete wants to get his or her paws on, the Bobcat of the Week award. This week, men's lacrosse's own Ryan Keenan is honored. The senior captain was named to the preseason All-MAC team by Inside Lacrosse. As mentioned earlier, Keenan notched his 100th career point, and the senior netted a game-tying goal with just 3 seconds left in the game against Marist. And now Sierra will take it to the top 5 plays of the week.
The most highly anticipated segment of Sports Paws. John, you kick us off with number 5.
Well, Sierra, number 5, we just talked about him. Ryan Keenan, he's going to get the ball here, get to the outside, get to the left, and here is his 100th point on his assist to Ryan Corcoran. Quinnipiac down 6-4, but that's not all we'll see from this game.
Number 4, we have acro and tumbling. Here you'll see the full team toss event. This one they're playing against Concordia, their last game of the regular season before it heads to the national championships. Quinnipiac would win this one. As you see, they stick the landing here after this, finishing its regular season with a record of 6-2.
Sierra, like you said, we watch them stick the landing, so we're going to keep it on the mat and see if we can stick it on this one. Number 3, the whole team toss right here. They're going to do a little flip-de-doo, don't mind if I do, catch, drop, and that's a perfect landing right there for the Bobcats. And why not finish it off with a little pizzazz with a full synchronized backflip.
And the number 2 play of the week, his name has been coming up all night. Ryan Keenan, with 3 seconds left in regulation to tie it up. His buzzer beater ties the game at 7 and sends it into overtime.
Well, Sierra, overtime is good, but getting the win is even greater. And Anthony Carchetta punches his ticket, number 1 play of the day, puts it upstairs where Dad keeps the cookies to give the Bobcats the win in overtime.
Now, as you know, the men's ice hockey team is going to the Frozen Four in Tampa this week. Q30 is sending its beat reporter crew to cover the games and pump out exclusive content that you will not want to miss out on. Be sure to follow Victoria Rucigliano, Andrew Badillo, Maury Hirsch-Gordon, and MJ Baird on Twitter for live updates throughout the championship weekend.
And that'll do it for this episode of Sports Paws, along with following us on Twitter at Q30 Sports. Be sure to also check all of our content out at www.q30television.com.
And for all of us here at Sports Paws, he's John Franklin. I'm Sierra Goodwill. Thanks for tuning in and have a great night.